Hey, this is DJ Pat with Sound Prodigy, and today I'm at one of my favorite venues here in San Diego called Humphery's. I do a lot of weddings here and corporate functions, and this place is also pretty awesome for concerts. I've been to a few here over the years. Today I'm actually going to be interviewed by a gentleman by the name of MIkey Esparza. You may know him from the MIkey Show here in San Diego for a number of years. So he's going to be sitting down with me and talking about not only my personal life, but also the business as well. So he'll be here shortly. I'm really looking forward to it, so hope you like it. Check it out.
So I'm sitting here with Pat, and it's Pat Conley. And
Yeah.
What is your full name? What's your complete name?
Michael Patrick Conley Jr.
Awesome, awesome. And tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me first of all where you're from. Where were you born?
I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. My father was in the meat business. He had a meat wholesaling business, and he'd started here in San Diego, and then at a point he moved to Arizona. And then he ended up eventually settling in Vegas and made a very good living there, providing meat and provisions to all the big hotels and casinos.
Uh-huh. So growing up, you guys probably always had a full table.
Yeah, we did. Very much so. It was fun. I lived in Las Vegas until I was 4 or 5, and at the time, my mom, my dad had got cancer. He had melanoma.
Oh wow.
And he had was suffering with that, and my mom had found out her mom was not doing well, so she came down here to be with her. So during that time, during about a 2-month period, my grandma passes away, then my dad passes away.
Oh wow.
And then her dad passes away.
How old were you?
I was 4 or 5 years old.
No kidding.
So she lost both her parents and her husband in the span of 2 months.
Oh wow.
So
That's terrible. Well, what about here? Tell me about how you got here to San Diego.
Originally, we came down here. She rented a house to take care of her mom, and then eventually her dad before he passed. And then once we got here, I mean, there was really kind of no reason to go back because my mom was here. She went to Helix High School. She lived in La Mesa, and she actually came from New Jersey, is where she was born.
Right.
And then came out here. Her dad, my grandfather, was an electrician,
Yeah.
and he worked for the Navy.
Okay.
So that's what kind of brought him to San Diego.
Let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about Little Pat.
Okay.
Tell me what Little Pat was like. What were you like as a kid?
I was a very artistic kid. I was a very creative kid. I'd like to say I was a pretty good kid, you know, being raised by my mom. I think I have a different set of values within me. I never learned how to work on a car. I never learned to do any of that stuff that a dad could teach his son.
Right.
But anything that my mom had, I think she tried to do her best to compensate. She was the one out there playing ball with me and stuff and really taking care of me as best she could.
Right. So how did you, in terms of that, how did you develop your hobbies? How did you get into the stuff that you got into? Was it stuff that your mom had introduced you to, or stuff that you just sort of found an interest in on your own?
To a degree, yeah. That was something that I just, anything that I found that I liked, I think my mom really supported me in any endeavor that I chose, and that was really nice. That you know she didn't deter me from anything, even though I had some. There was a time I went through a big wrestling phase. I was very inspired by WWF.
Yeah.
And as much as she hated that stuff, she still supported the fact that I loved to watch it every Sunday. So
I think 9 out of 10 kids were into the WWF. You know what I mean? I think if you're a kid, you loved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's cool. So that was one of your hobbies. And what about music? Because I mean, music is basically your life now. That's your job. So tell me about how you started to get into music.
I was very inspired by music, I think, early on. My mom always was listening to music. I can remember, you know, sitting in the car listening to Blondie and Fleetwood Mac. She loved Steely Dan. To this day, I could just hear Steely Dan and just take me back to those days of riding around in this big Buick of hers and going down to 7-Eleven getting a Slurpee.
Isn't that great? Isn't it great how music takes you back to an instant place and time? It's like you can get smells, memories, places, the feeling of wood in a car, everything. You know, I mean, that's great stuff. So for you, was your mom a big music lover too? Or was it just certain artists that she was into, or was there music around all the time?
She was always listening to music. She always had a little radio on the counter in the kitchen, and music was always playing. Okay. And I remember the first time I heard Stevie Wonder. Right. Oh God, I fell in love with his voice, and the fact that he could do what he did and not be able to see, that I think, wow, that's pretty amazing. So I think that inspired me to want to try to, I mean, if this guy can't see and play an instrument, maybe I can pick up a guitar, which I did, and see where it goes. And
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about you and musical instruments. So your love was the guitar. Yeah. And how old?
I got my guitar first. I was probably 12 when I got my first guitar. My brother had been drumming before that, and he used to work at a place where my mom had to drop him off at. So I knew he wasn't coming back home, or at least Mom had to go get him and I had to be with her. So I knew I had a couple hours of safety. So I would go in there and bang on the drums. And I think that's where I got my rhythm from a little bit. And I think eventually translating into being a DJ and understanding timing and beats, I think that's where that came from.
So your brother plays drums, you play guitar. Did you guys ever think about doing an Eddie and Alex Van Halen kind of thing and, get a band going, or what?
That was always in the back of my mind. The first song I ever learned how to play on guitar was Breaking the Law by Judas Priest. He was into British heavy metal, and he got me into Led Zeppelin and Scorpions, and then also with Rush. He was a big Rush fan. But part of the reason why I learned how to play Breaking the Law is there's no chorus, there's no solo in it. Right. Which made it easy. There's like 3 chords, right? So it's a very simple song to play. And I remember playing that with him and just rocking out and loving it. But I wasn't as confident playing leads, so when I started learning other musical pieces, it was a lot tougher for me. So I played guitar for as long as I could until I realized that, I really have to put time into this, and I was already being drawn to other things. Drawing was another one.
Got it. So you mentioned that your mom had moved to La Mesa, or was living in La Mesa? Is that where you're from? She was in La Mesa, and then she had ended up, then they moved to Arizona, and then Vegas. But when she moved back, we moved back to El Cajon. Got it. And she bought a home kind of on the outskirts of El Cajon, Rancho San Diego, and that's where I spent a lot of my years growing up. So where did you go to school? Where were you from, kindergarten up into high school?
I went to Anza Elementary in El Cajon. I went there through 6th grade, then I did a 7th and 8th at Emerald Junior High in El Cajon, and then I settled into Valhalla High School. Got it.
Now, I always have such a respect for guys like yourself that sort of create your own livelihood. When my brother talks about it, my brother's fond of saying, you're on the hook for yourself, and I really like that because you're your own boss. What about when you were a kid? What was your first job? When you were growing up, what were you like when you were starting into the workforce?
The first real job I had was making pizzas at an Italian restaurant when I was 16. Yeah. The typical jobs you do before you get to that point is you're mowing the neighbor's lawn kind of thing. And making pizzas, I really liked that. That was fun. And I didn't work for a chain. I didn't work for like a Domino's or anything like that. I worked for an Italian immigrant who came here with his wife. They could speak fluent Italian. They had really strong Italian accents, and I felt kind of close to that because my mom is half Italian, and
you never got the bug to do that, though. You never. So when you did that, you never thought, maybe I'll open my own restaurant. Maybe I'll become a chef. Maybe I'll go into cooking. Maybe that never struck you. Not like music, apparently.
Yeah, it was fun to do, but I never saw myself making pizzas my whole life.
Right, or wanting to get into the food industry. No kind of chef thing got you. None of that kind of stuff. It was music. You enjoyed music.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, tell me this: when you were going to college, did you have? And I'm assuming you went to college, right?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to a trade school in Arizona called Al Collins Graphic Design School.
Graphic design. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in the beginning, there wasn't. That's really wanting me to get into the DJ stuff. So here you are going to school for graphic design. Did you think that was the direction you were going to go for a long time?
Yeah, I settled into the concept of I'm going to be an artist. I loved drawing. I would draw all day long, all night long. I would paint. I would do different art projects. I was always have my hands in art. Went to college, and this college that I went to was very well-rounded. It was everything from video editing and directing to, commercial art and computers. I mean, they had all the aspects of, things that I didn't necessarily want to do, but I thought maybe I should learn.
Right. And
then the stuff that I really was attracted to.
So was there some sort of defining moment? Was there an epiphany for you where you said, this DJ thing, I might want to give this DJ thing a try?
That came later. When I came back from college, I couldn't get a job. I came home, I had this beautiful portfolio, and at that time, 20 years old, 21, I was very prideful. Mm-hmm. And I had this nice little long ponytail sticking out the back. And I would sit in front of people that would say, you know what, we love your artwork, we love what we see, we love your presentation, we would like to bring you on to do some work for us. So cut your hair and come on board and everything's going to be great. And again, being prideful, I said, I don't think that's the right call to make with me, because is it about my hair? Is it about the product I could produce? And back then, you had to have
typical 20-year-old, by the way. I mean, as a 20-year-old, we know everything. We're going to reinvent the wheel.
And if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have just did it and cut my hair, because I really wanted to do that. And when I couldn't get a job, then I started window painting. That was my thing. And I was in competition with a real popular guy in San Diego that does window painting now. It was like he and I kind of neck and neck. I mean, he was doing windows and I'm doing windows, and I was losing bids out to him and vice versa. But that could only, I think, last so long. And I wasn't sure I could sustain doing that. A friend of mine had worked in a nightclub. He knew that I was, not happy with my career, and he's like, why don't you come down here and work with me and hang out with your buddies? And I did, and I started working a door, taking an entry fee, and then I started bartending for a while. Then all of a sudden I started managing, and originally the only reason I became a DJ was because a friend of mine, the DJ at the club, he and I became really good friends. Mm-hmm. He kind of pushed me into it. He said, "I know you can do this." He's like, "I know you can. You have a good intonation. You understand music. I think you can do this." And
what did you think?
No, I wasn't ready for that. But I listened to what he had to say, mm-hmm. and he was, I think, a lot wiser than I gave him credit for, or anybody gave him credit for. And I sat down with him, and he mentored me, and lo and behold, a DJ emerged.
And weddings, I know that you do a lot of weddings. Mm-hmm. How did it come about? How did you go from sort of DJing in a club to getting your first gig, starting to do weddings. And the bigger question there is, were you nervous? Because here you are going and making the jump from being a DJ in a club to, oh wow, I'm responsible now for somebody's memories for the rest of their life. So how did that happen?
Well, being a DJ in the clubs I was working at, it wasn't just about music. It was being able to get on the microphone and talk and run drink specials and promote and things like that. So I knew eventually I couldn't even sustain that, because at the time I'm in my mid-20s and I'm thinking long term. I always think about, I never think about, you know, what's tomorrow or the week after. I think what's going to be like in 10 years.
Sure.
And I've always kind of lived with the, you know, looking in a mirror at myself and thinking, you know, if I'm in the same place in the next 2 years or 3 years, am I really going to be happy with that? And if you look at that now, right at this moment, then if you're not, if the answer is no, then you have to do something about it right then and there. You have to make that change right then and there. So I did one of those, I don't see myself being this guy in the bar. And it just so happened that I had a guy who had DJ'd weddings, and he was worked for a good company down here in San Diego, and he really seemed to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And he gave me some pointers, and yes, when I did my first wedding, it was for some friends, mm-hmm. and yes, I was nervous, and I was on the phone with them every other day, you know, just, okay, now it's this song you want, this is your first dance song, these are your formalities, and I did a good job. I felt I could have done better. They were really happy. Mm-hmm. They were very happy, but yeah, I was really nervous.
Pat, how long have you been doing this?
I did my first wedding in '98.
Wow.
I've been DJing, you know, before that, and then sometimes how it happens, before you have any kind of advertising or any kind of rapport in a particular area, you do somebody's wedding, and then you'll get a phone call maybe a few months later, and someone will say, you know what, you did my friend's wedding. How much do you charge?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, at the time I was just, you know, it was $400, I think it was, like, you know, well, $400, how about that, you know? But knowing what I know now, you know, they knew I was inexperienced, and they knew that's what they were getting. Right. And I think their expectations, and I tried to make it known that the expectations you should have are as best as I can give you. I'll do the best job I can, but, you know, I'm going to try to not screw up here, but if I do, just please don't hold it against me.
Yeah. So tell me then, you've been doing this for 16 years now. What is the difference between Pat from 1998 and the Pat in 2014? I mean, what has the growth been like for you in terms of improving at what you do as a DJ? Is it the difference between night and day, or is it a subtle difference?
I'd say night and day. Really? Because going into this, there's so much more that I could possibly imagine. There is a huge psychology to this business and why you do things a certain way, mm-hmm. That nobody really understands. And it's only when you sit down and you start the planning process. Me just talking to a client and telling them, I'm going to do this, and here's, you know, and not really going into any reasons, you know, why I'm doing it this way. Mm-hmm. A perfect example. If I said to somebody, okay, we're going to do these two formalities. We're going to do a garter bouquet, and then we're going to do the cake. But we're going to do the cake at the very end. In any kind of situation, you want to do the cake at the very end. Mm-hmm. And here's why. If there's other formalities, and not knowing these people, if they decide to go crazy with that cake, if they decide to start smashing cake, they've just ruined their pictures for that bouquet and that garter removal.
Right.
And that's what I don't want. And I don't care how many times someone tells me, oh, we're not going to do it. The night of, they get a couple drinks in them, and what the hell kind of moment happens, not understanding why So that's what I really try to explain to them when I'm sitting down with them and I'm going through the planning process.
And
this is why.
the beauty of that is that that's something that only comes with experience. I mean, that's only because you've been doing this for so long that you've seen enough of that happen that you know what's going to go on, which is beautiful. I mean, that's great. So tell me this: why do you do this? Why this job? Why do you like it?
It always changes. You're always seeing different people. You're having different experience, and even though the script can sometimes end up being the same, the people are always different, and they're going to respond and react differently. And it's like getting to know somebody for the first time, and let's say you did start to develop a liking for them, you know. And I seem to really gravitate to my clients when I start talking to them and meeting them. And
do you keep in contact with anybody that you've done a wedding for? Do you ever still talk to them, run into them, that kind of thing?
A few, you know. There's. We're talking, you know, several hundreds and hundreds of clients, as much as I would love to keep in touch with everyone. And sometimes I'll see somebody, I'm out and about, and someone will come up and they'll see DJ Pat, and you know, you did my wedding last year, and a year in my industry is an eternity. And it's not that, you know, I forgot about them or I care less, you know, it's just sometimes there's other people that I have to think about, and those are my people that are on calendar at that particular moment. But it just takes a little, okay, oh, I'm so sorry, where did we do our wedding again? You know, oh, we were, you know, at Humphery's, where we're at right now. We did that wedding in Humphery's, remember? And my brother made that really funny toast, and he wore a wig, or he did something funny. And oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah, he's the one that got wasted and fell down. Yeah.
And you know, it's funny that you say that, because you and I were talking before the interview, and you were reminding me of something from my show. And sometimes I forget, and the reason is because you are a professional at what you do, but you do so many of them. Sometimes you don't remember them all. And so I totally get where you're coming from. So let me ask you this. You know, you have developed a reputation in town as being one of the best. And that takes work. That takes a lot of hard work. How does it make you feel knowing that you are one of the premier guys in a city this size?
I can't describe it. It's very humbling. Because when I first started out, I knew nobody, and it was very hard getting going because there is so much competition. But I knew what I was doing. I liked doing it. And I think that that's what made me stand out, is the fact that I really enjoy the process of meeting with clients and performing for the clients. And I think that's why I have the reviews I have, why I have the following I have, and the support of the venues and the other vendors, the photographers and the video people and the catering and the coordinators in San Diego. But yeah, I get a huge thrill knowing that I'm respected, but also too, because I'm put on a little bit of a platform, and I always want to deliver 100%, I always find myself doing a lot more, because I never want to let anybody down. I never want to do, I want to go above and beyond in every situation because of that fact.
So if I would have told you in 1998, 15, 16 years from now, you're going to be one of the premier guys in your business in this city, what would you have thought?
I wouldn't have believed you. You're out of your mind. I like doing what I do, but I wouldn't have believed it at all.
That's great. Well, that's a good attitude. It's a humble attitude. What about now? What are your hobbies now? Because I know that music has got to be a big part of your life, because that's what you do. Your business is music. What are your hobbies now? What kind of stuff do you like doing?
I love my daughter. She's my hobby. She's. I used to collect a lot of things, and spent a lot of money on that. Now I spend a lot of money on her. When she was born, she kind of changed my life a little bit, and she's like my best friend.
That's amazing. How old?
She's 12. She'll be 13 in a couple of months. But we love going to Disneyland. That's one of our favorite places to go. That inspires me. That uplifts my spirit. It makes me feel good. I'm just a huge kid. We would go. My mom would take us. But back then, it was one of those, once a year kind of trips, maybe twice a year. Or you go during summer, typically. And with her, I mean, there was a point where we were going once a month.
That's amazing.
And we'd go up there for 2 or 3 days at a time. But
you light up when you talk about her.
yeah, she's way cool. I'm very fortunate that she's turned out the way she has. She's artistic, very artistic. She loves music. I haven't got her into the DJing aspect. I've tried to work with her a little bit on it. But I don't want to. The thing is, I don't want to force feed it to her. I don't want to say, here, you got to do it like this, and I want her to come to me one day and say, Dad, I want to do this.
Yeah.
But other than that, I spend a lot of time with my fiance. We like going out and trying new places to go eat. One of our favorite things to do is watch diners, drive-ins, and dives, and those kind of shows, and go to those places neat.
Sure.
And we like to go out and watch go to the movies, and we.
What about vacationing?
Disney. we like going to Disney. We also like going to Laughlin. That's one of our places we like to go. We try to go there once a year.
That's great.
But yeah.
So if somebody is trying to make a choice, and there are various choices in town in terms of DJs, why you? Why would somebody call you? Why, if you're giving me the pitch as to why, what would it be?
Because I'm genuine. I mean, I really do care. And if I'm going to perform for you, even if, going through the process of the planning, even if you end up turning out to be a groomzilla, for example, and I've had that. I've had people, as we get a little bit closer to the wedding, they start getting a little upset about, a little stressed or a little nervous about other things that could be happening, and sometimes people could take it out on you. And I've had people do that, and I don't look at them any differently as a result of it. I understand the stress that they could be going through, and I do my very best to pacify them and let them know everything's going to be good. But if you are booking me, you're going to get someone that is honest. You're going to get someone that's genuine and that really cares and is going to do the best job that you're going to allow me to do.
How do you see the business growing? How do you see what you're doing in 5 years or 10 years? Would you be satisfied where it is right now, or do you have some sort of a master plan in terms of where you'd like to see it go?
I have we call a multi-op, where it's, I'm one guy and I've got a couple guys that work for me. Eventually, as much as I love to do this, I am a realist. I'm not going to be able to do the kind of workload that I'm doing right now 10 years from now. So I'm going to have to be, I think, a little bit more selective. So I'm going to have to bring more people on.
Yeah.
But I like the company being small. I like it only being just 3 or 4 guys and me, and that's it. I don't have to have a big organization. I don't really want a big organization. And if it stays the way it is right now, in 10 years, I'll still be happy.
Yeah. Now, I know that when you send one of your employees out to do a job, you obviously would like to maintain that level of professionalism and quality as if you were doing it yourself. So when you're looking for somebody to bring on to your company, what are the qualities that you're looking for in those people that you desire?
They have to kind of be like me. They gotta really love this business and love being able to entertain. And here's something interesting that not too many people know, that the DJs that do work for me actually make more than I do on the client itself. They actually get paid more. The pay scale favors them to the point where, if it's just a standard wedding ceremony or reception, I'm probably making only a couple $100s. And of that, when you factor in credit card processing and taxes, I really don't make anything.
Yeah.
But the reason why the DJs that work for me get paid a lot more is because I want them to have more of a vested interest in this and not ever feel like I'm the one running away with all the money and you're doing the hard labor. I want them to take more pride in their work, so they're going to get paid more.
Right.
Now, we have other services we offer, like we can uplight a venue and we can do a photo booth and things like that. And if we're able to upsell those to a client, then we can make a profit doing it.
Yeah.
But out of the gate, DJ services on our ceremony or reception, I make next to nothing.
Got it. How do you know that you've done a great job? What makes you personally feel like, yeah, this was a good one?
There's.
How do you measure it? Is it the bride and the groom coming to you and saying, hey, we really enjoyed it? Or is it looking out and seeing a lot of people dancing? What is the feedback that makes you feel like, yeah, you know what, we really nailed this one?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's the bride and groom giving me, like thumbs ups or high fives or something like that during the reception. It's seeing a packed dance floor, and that is such a good feeling, because when you're playing music, I think a lot of people try to make it sound like it's the DJ plays music. That's what he does. He just plays music and they go and dance. But to inspire people to dance for 2 hours or 3 hours and continually every 3 minutes play something new, that takes work.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of, very much paying attention to what these guys are dancing to and playing the music that you think that they're gonna like, and obviously taking requests. But if I can keep them and I can hold them on that dance floor and they're going nuts, yeah, that makes me feel good. And even at the end of the night when they come up and they hug me and they say, thank you so very much, we really appreciate it, that makes me feel good too.
How has the technology changed in terms of the last 15 to 16 years? Has it really made your job easier? Has it made it more enjoyable for clients, the technology and the way that it's changed?
Yeah, the technology has made it a lot easier for us. I come from the days of using CDs, and literally we would have these bags that you'd carry the CDs in, and you could put like 300 per bag, and I would probably have 8 or 10 of them at one shot, and they weigh probably about 30, 40 pounds, and you're lugging these things in. It's just, and it was always the, taking the CD out of the sleeve. It's not taking it out and putting it in and hit and play. It's taking the CD out and looking at it and make sure, okay, there's nothing on the CD.
Yeah.
It's clean.
Right.
Having a rag there, or, even though you're not supposed to use your shirt, and every DJ I know uses their shirts, okay, make sure, okay, load it in there, test the track, make sure it's going, okay, good. That was very laborious work.
Right.
And now I can roll in with a couple of laptops and a couple of hard drives, and I get in quicker, I get out faster, and the quality hasn't suffered at all. And even with my clients, I try to really make it easy for them technology-wise, because I give every one of them their own online account manager. So they'll get a login and a password to a profile that I've built for them, and on that profile is an area for putting a playlist together, the order of their events, the names of their wedding party, their timeline, so they can log in anytime they like and import the information. And let's say they decide to change their first dance, they can log in and do it on their own, and that minimizes the margin for error. So if they change their song from one thing to another, and I look at the computer screen and I can see that this is their song that they picked out, if they wanted Brad Paisley then, and I can see Brad Paisley then, and I know they're seeing it too, then there's no reason to believe it's anything different than Brad Paisley then.
Right. And that makes it a lot easier for both of you guys, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What are the challenges? What are the challenges that you face in this industry?
The challenges I think I face are, and this is kind of a tough one because there's technology I think has made it easier for people to be a DJ because back then, you know, it was an investment buying these CDs.
Right.
Now someone spends a couple $100 and they can just literally download, because we talked about it earlier, you know, buying a CD, spending 15 or 20 bucks on a disc for one song. Now they can just spend 99 cents on that one song and download it and have it. So I think it's made it easier for people, but I also think that there's people out there that aren't being as respectful to the business and being respectful to the clients and the overall business that the wedding professionals, the true wedding professionals, create for these other people to come in. And I think they kind of hurt the business a little bit because I'm going to charge, let's say, $1,000, and then client comes back to me and says, well, I found a DJ that's going to charge me $300. Okay, well, you know, again, it's more than pushing play.
Right. There's
you know?
a reason that you've become well known in San Diego, you know, and it's because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it a long time, and you have kind of, you know, made your niche out of knowing this business and knowing how to do it well. How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as the DJ that actually cared.
Yeah.
I want to be the DJ that people, you know, being involved in someone's history for the rest of their lives is very important to me.
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah, and I'm very emotional about that kind of stuff. I get emotional about music so much. I could sit there and listen to a song a million times, and I hear it one more time, and it still makes me emotional.
Sure.
I'm sitting there with the clients, and I play a piece of music that draws a bride to tears because she loves it so much. I'll start crying with her.
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome. And you know what? That's who I want. I mean, if I'm hiring someone to do what you do, that's the guy that I want, because it means that it's just as impactful for you as it is for a bride and a groom. That's a testament in and of itself. That's great. That's good stuff.
I just admitted that on camera, man.
That's great, though, man. Hey, it's documented. You can't get away from it now.
And I do my best when I play the song, and I have a little tissue on the desk in the office. So when I see her start crying, I go, yeah, there's some tissue over there, and I do my best to try to smile and detract, take it away from my face, the fact that I'm not weeping, but you know that I'm getting a little moist in the eyes.
In the eyes.
Yeah,
there you
so
go.
I kind of look down.
You got to blame it on the allergies. I'm the same way. You got to blame it on the allergies. That's good stuff. Well, Pat, what a great conversation. What a great way to get to know what you do. Anything else? Anything else that you want to share about what you do, and anything that you might want to add?
I'm very fortunate to be able to do this for a living, and I owe so many people so much. I owe my family that supports me and have supported me. I can remember the days of telling my mom that I'm going to do this, and I could just kind of hear my mom not being necessarily cynical about it, but I can just kind of hear her, I don't, you know, like not, like she believes in me, but she's not sure if I can make a living doing it.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. And it's the photographers, it's the videographers, it's the catering teams and the venues and the coordinators that have all put their faith and trust in me and seen something in me that makes me feel like they believe in me. They wouldn't put their name and reputation on the line for me if they didn't feel I could do the job. And it's my undying gratitude to everyone that's ever put faith in me, especially when I felt like I couldn't do it, or at least I felt like I wasn't good enough to do it. And I think it's their validation that has made me believe in myself a lot more. So I think if anything, I want to be remembered as the DJ that really cared. about every single one of my clients. Good, bad, or indifferent. I care about every one of them.
There is no reason in the world that anybody living in San Diego should not be hiring you to do whatever event it is that they have. I can tell by talking to you, you care about your clients and you care about what you do. And I think that that shows in what you do. It's been a pleasure, man. A real pleasure.
Thanks.
Great to talk to you.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely.